Yo, Jonathan here. It is iPhone 12 time. Drop a like if you're ready to go. Got the 12, the 12 Pro in their respective Slim Boy boxes. Gonna have a comparison between these two and really my overall thoughts after using them for a couple days. So by now, the phones have shipped, and there's a good chance you're watching this video right now on a brand new 12 or 12 Pro, and if so, first off, congratulations, and two, I would love to hear which model, which color you picked up, and really how you're liking it so far. Now for me, while I kind of put together my deeper, more full-fledged review, I kind of want to use this video to talk about my experience so far, everything I put these phones through, and really the key differences between the 12 and 12 Pro, because honestly, they are really freaking close. Again, Pacific Blue on the 12 Pro is a really, really beautiful finish. I definitely prefer it over Midnight Green from last year. As far as blue on the regular 12, I would say it's a little lackluster. And from what I've seen so far, I would say white, black, or green is the way to go for the 12. I really do enjoy that squared off iPhone 5-esque design. One, it brings some uniformity along with the new iPad Air and the Pro, and two, it just looks and feels better. Also, some of you guys make things really hard to enjoy. Rewind to a few years ago, everyone was like, oh, I wish Apple would bring back the iPhone 5 design. The 4, the 4S, the 5, the 5S, that was Apple's best design ever. Take this year, for example, when Apple dropped the new iPhone SE 2, everyone was like, I wish they brought the old design back. Then they dropped the 12 and the 12 Pro, and everyone was like, ooh, Apple can't innovate, they're bringing back old designs. Can we just please enjoy things a little bit? That aside, as far as what these two phones share, which is actually quite a bit, they both have 6.1-inch OLED displays, which for the 12 is a nice jump over LCD from the previous 11. I'm not sure if I've seen anybody talk about this or cover this, but when you're not in HDR mode, if you dive a little bit deeper, the peak brightness on the Pro is actually 800 nits versus 625 on the regular 12. So again, when you're watching and viewing HDR or Dolby Vision content, you get the same peak brightness of 1200 nits. But when you're not, the Pro's display will be slightly brighter, and that will mostly make a difference when you're viewing outdoors. They both also share the same A14 Bionic chip, which has really, really impressed me so far. And I also gotta say, I wanna dive deeper into this, but we are past the point of pure just CPU or GPU graphic test. They are doing so much more. Yo, so I'm working on my iPhone 12 review, and this is kind of an example of the A14 putting in work. Again, on iMovie right now, which is blowing my mind, but it's almost adapting in real time. So if you look really closely at the forehead, there's a little bit of clipping on the highlights. And that's the big difference with Dolby Vision versus just straight HDR10 is it's scene by scene and kind of adapting on the fly. And in real time, it almost catches that and adjusts. So a little bit of clipping, no clipping. So that's really an example of the A14 at work, just kind of catching that highlight clip, adjusting, and it's all happening on the fly. I have gone way too deep into HDR and Dolby Vision this week, something that both the 12 and 12 Pro support. With the 12, you can record 10-bit 4K Dolby Vision footage up to 30 frames per second, whereas with the 12 Pro, you can do that up to 60. What's even cooler beyond that though is you can then take that 10-bit Dolby Vision footage, edit, and then output directly from these phones. I realize that most people probably won't appreciate how special this is, but if you've worked with video and you've ever tried to export 10-bit HEVC or H.265 footage, rip your life. For real, this crazy ass setup behind me is what I was using to edit the Dolby Vision footage prior to the iMovie update. It's a 5K iMac paired with a 6K Pro display. That is not cheap, and that's what I had to use before the iMovie update dropped. I was buried in this insanity for almost a day, just really diving into HDR footage and the hoops that you have to jump through. First, you gotta create a Rec 2020 library in Final Cut Pro, then you have to be able to view and monitor in HDR. You gotta then make sure you're not peaking past 1000 nits.
100 Nick?
You're just glued to those screens, going back and forth, 6K, 5K, just locked into the matrix. You finally get done, then you export a monster ProRes file, which ends up being probably around 40 or 50 gigabytes. Like, could you imagine uploading a 50 gigabyte file? Stop right there though, because you're still not done. You gotta take that ProRes, open terminal, enter some fancy code, split an HDR and SDR LUT, and pray to the tech gods that YouTube doesn't screw up your file. A day later, Apple drops that iMovie update that supports Dolby Vision, and you need to do none of that. What's even more bananas beyond that is here is a finished HDR project, which is around 3 minutes long. To export this thing in HDR took about 2 minutes. Again, if you work with video and you try to do something like this on a computer,
no, hell no, no.
I'll drop a link to all that Dolby Vision goodness down below. Got a chance to collaborate with Julia, AKA Wolf, and if you haven't heard of her, make sure you check her out. Also, shout out to one of my favorite human beings on this planet, Brandon, not Harvard, Havard, for killing it out there with some beautiful New York City footage. This is all on a brand new channel that I just dropped recently where we may or may not have made a song out of the Magsafe sound.
I'm laid back, but I don't front. Dopamine up in the Magsafe plug. Hit my line like it ain't just up. Present decline is a sugar.
So if you're into music, definitely check that out and subscribe. But yeah, I think HDR, Dolby Vision as a whole with this new iPhone launch is going to change the game. Specifically, not because the iPhone can shoot or edit Dolby Vision footage, but because what it means for Apple moving forward, especially with the Silicon Macs. In terms of photography, I would say the best video I've watched so far with this launch has got to be from Mr. Peter McKinnon. Seriously, go watch that video now. It will cover everything you need to know as far as the cameras on these phones. Magsafe, I think, is really cool. Some of you guys need to enjoy it a little more as well. And also, can I just say, magnets, they react differently to different surfaces, so just saying. Jokes aside, I'll drop a link to my Magsafe coverage down below, and beyond that, so far everything has been pretty smooth with both of these phones. Again, if you guys want to see anything specific covered in the bigger, more in-depth review, let me know with a comment down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.